What is going on, guys? It is your host for the wonderful 8-ounce tournament that you guys seem to absolutely love. It is me, Yuri Thunderdome, and today I got two new guys with me. They're awesome. They're the best. Mr. Zayef YouTube being the first time he's stepping into the commentary booth. Zayef, you got to be excited. I know you are.
Very excited, very excited. Something about 8 ounce is just really special. It's a really special event. We got custom rules, we've got all these things, and it's really, really exciting to finally be on an ESFL card with you fellow commentators, Yuri Thunderdome, and our second new commentator, Bane. How are you feeling, man?
Absolutely pumped to be here today. Truly a pleasure to join the ESFL commentary rotation. And similarly, the 8 ounce is just such a good idea for an event. And I think all the guys love the spotlight that they get in a reduced card, right? There's not a ton of other competitors here. There is a lot of limelight on only a few competitors.
Yeah, that is 100% true. Everybody here is looking to show out. Just to give you guys a quick rundown of the rule set, this is a calf-based fighting tournament only, so they can only use calves, so they're going to be able to pick between the classes. Typically stays between boxer and kickboxer. You know how that goes. And guess what? I know you're happy to hear this. Shout out to T4H. There is no grappling. However, there is clinch. So they're going to be able to use the clinch a little bit, and there is a 3 knockdown rule. Once you are knocked down 3 times, you must give the bow taunt, LB, and down on the direction pad. That gets asked a lot for some reason. Then you got to take the head kick finish. Again, trips, throws, everything out of the single leg and double leg. All that is allowed to do whenever you're in the clinch. And you can obviously not jump down on a grounded opponent. No standing submissions. And then trips and throws do not count as knockdowns. So no people trying to pull funny ones. And let me just talk to you about this bracket first before we actually get into the first fight. I know you guys are seething, foaming at the mouth, really wanting this action. I'm going to make you wait for it because that's what we're supposed to do. We're going to have beautiful, beautiful matchups in Great Mist versus Papa Lemur, Warbzy versus the Ed Parker, making his first go at UFC 4 competitive scene, which is always fun to see. We get Dirty Dave versus Dabikin, Dino MMA versus Chinsworth. Man, I see a lot of former champions lined up in this bracket. Zayef, man, how do you feel about this bracket, and who is your favorite to win this tournament?
Man, it's such a great bracket. You're talking about some of the best strikers on Xbox. You're looking at Ed Parker. You're looking at Dabikin. You're looking at Dino, the most creative striker in the entire game. But when you look at the specific rules, the 8 ounce, the Muay Thai, you gotta go with Ed Parker. His specialty, the body tickling, no grappling at all. You're really looking at someone who's going to thrive in the 8 ounce environment, and especially because we have a new rule today. When someone gets knocked down, the other person has to back all the way up to the cage and let them recover. That's going to give all of these competitors the space to work that they need to perform at their highest potential. Now, Bane, we've got all these people. Who is your dark horse of this tournament?
Now, I'm going to go with a big underdog pick here. I think Warbzy's looking to make a massive statement. This guy's stepping into the competitive scene like we've discussed for the first time against the best. And so there's not a lot known about him, right? There's not a lot of tape out there. So Warbzy could be coming in here. He knows what Ed Parker wants to do, and maybe he has the answer to it.
Very, very interesting decisions. Again, we really appreciate you guys stopping by. I'm seeing 60 people in the Twitch chat, and I'm seeing a strong 20 in the YouTube chat. I want everybody to get hyped in the chat, man. We're going to move straight into this first fight. Great Mist versus Papa Lemur. Great Mist is a very solid combination fighter. He is a member of the ICB camp. Great Mist is a lot of fun to watch, man. He's always mixing it up, always throwing crazy combos. He likes to fight more stationary, not looking to go to the kicks. So he's going to use those hands pretty well. And obviously, the former champion, Papa Lemur, he is the most unique strikers you will see, minus a couple names. And one of them you're actually going to see on this card. And he's going to try and kick your legs out, right? The leg kick king himself is going to try and kick the legs out from under you. Now, Zayef, you've been in one of these tournaments. What's the meta that you do to actually go in and select one of these calf fighting classes?
Man, honestly, I think that is the beauty of it, and especially when you're talking about someone like Great Mist and Papa Lemur. These are two very unique fighters. We don't know what they're going to do. We're looking at Papa Lemur hovering over the acrobat class, and he picks it right there. Papa Lemur, obviously known for his leg kicks. Great Mist going with the boxing and that patented slipping rear hook. Now, obviously, the slipping rear hook has a vulnerability to leg kicks, but Papa Lemur's boxing has a vulnerability to the slip hook, as we saw in his last fight. So I think these two could actually end up canceling each other out. It's going to come down to who plays the best.
Yeah, and
Now,
Ben, as you can see, the 0-1, Papa Lemur actually has a win over him. How much of that do you take into a big matchup like this?
Right, it's such an interesting thing to look at the existing history, if that does have an effect on the mental game. I will say only an 0-1 differential between these two. Not too bad. I'd say, hey, he got the first one. Let's see if I can take the second one.
Love it. As they touch him up, starting things off, obviously going for that lead hook. You're going to see a little bit of that from Papa Lemur. He likes to use that lead hook, trying to stare away and trying to avoid getting that nasty, dirty slip hook. Already going to the leg work, and right here, Zai, you can already see going to the leg work. We know what he's going to try to do. It's only a matter of time before we see that dirty oblique kick.
100%, and that is the beauty of the acrobat class that he has mentioned. You're seeing such creative combinations immediately. The Superman punch into the lead leg kick, and right now Mist is just trying to brute force his way in, fire off a lot of head kicks, a lot of very powerful tricks, but as he checks the leg kick, Lemur's got to be careful throwing way too many too early here.
One thing I like to mention is sort of the distance management of Lemur so far. He's not really sitting in the pocket, which I think is what Great Mist would like to do. Great Mist coming forward here.
Yeah, and you can see they're really starting to throw those combinations with Imperative, and they're trying to throw these fast. You want to slow down just a little bit. This is a long fight, and of course, you got to try and get your stuff in quick, but you got to take your time with it as well. I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of Great Mist, not messing around with those hooks, trying to do damage, but I'm really liking how Papa Lemur is doing a good job of keeping his distance and really pop-shotting the leg. I think that's what he's trying to do, kind of throw Great Mist off of it, hopefully be able to get a switch stance. You know, these calves have a difficulty when it comes down to switching stances, and of course you have a little bit of a stalemate in the action. These two are just ripping off every time they get into the pocket. It's a lot of fun to watch these guys throw, Zaya.
Very, very fun indeed. They're just coming in, they're swinging and banging. Right now, you're seeing Lemur a little more technical as Mist is getting his way into the pocket with those beautiful head kicks. Oh, and a two-touch kick comes out from Papa Lemur, that acrobat class again, and they are just standing in the pocket here.
You know, I have to agree with you, Geary. Dictating the pace is all well and good, but slowing down the fight can work in your favor. I think Great Mist has utilized a lot of stamina and taken a lot of unnecessary damage to the head because he wants to engage in these extended combinations.
Yeah, 100% Bane. Accurate as always. His first time killing it in the commentary. Papa Lemur sweeps a head kick that could have been very damaging. Luckily, he's able to matrix that Israel Adesanya-esque to get out of the way. That could have been bad. Already coming in, Great Mist is not having any qualms with his style, trying to keep it in the pocket. And really and truly, we've already seen that switch stance out of Great Mist, and he's almost not utilizing that distance. He should really start working those straights into that body kick and try and work down the body if that's your game plan. Really early on, 30 seconds left in this fight, I gotta say, Papa Lemur's stamina is a little bit concerning, that is for sure, as he's not going to get the dump, trying to get that stamina back into it. He gets the leg kick rock right there from Great Mist, and he's really selling out, trying to get the head rock. Oh my goodness, 8 seconds left. Can either of these fighters get out with avoiding a drop? One huge exchange right there, and Zayev, I got to give that round to Great Mist.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. You know, he got those two very, very big leg rocks, right? You know, he got one very, very early in the start of the round, and then he got one right at the end of the round, putting two statements right away, showing, hey, you know, if you're gonna kick my legs, I have something to answer for it. But what I noticed is that Papa Lemur is starting to get a read. We saw him do that almost Rafael Fazayev-like pull on that head kick to land the beautiful check hook. As they touch it up here, I want to see what adjustments he makes, and it looks like he will have to go for the head here if he wants a chance.
Absolutely, and Lemur really dedicating himself to the volume striking, trying to overwhelm Great Mist more with the effective, right? Those big moments like we've discussed. But one thing I'd like to see is dedication to one specific area. Great Mist is mixing it up, but he's not really doing a ton of damage. Look at that!
Yeah, that is a huge head rock. He's got to be careful here. Papa Lemur is playing a little more technical, but the way Great Miss is coming into the pocket with reckless abandon is admirable, and it's winning him this fight. Papa Lemur has to get a little freaky with it, has to channel his inner Tony Ferguson and get this fight dirty, because if he continues to try and be smart and try and be technical and pop shot, he's gonna lose this fight. Great Miss is doing a good job of making it dirty as we see another rock. Yeah, Papa Lemur is beautiful spinning back kick, gets him in the head. He's waiting. He's gonna allow them to reset. Corner is in his ear, Papa Lemur's ear, saying, brother, we gotta throw some sand. Zayef, man, how do you feel about this start? A little nervous here for Papa Lemur.
Man, absolutely. He is doing, Great Miss is doing such a good job just mixing it up, entering the pocket with a beautiful leg kick, and that is 2 knockdowns. Lemur has to be so careful here if he wants to win this fight, because he is rocked right now. Papa Lemur moving in his right, stick around. Great Miss moving in for the kill. Wow, this is very intense for Papa Lemur here. He has to avoid this damage.
Oh, that combo was disgusting. Bane, this is getting serious.
Man, you know, talk about avoiding. Lemur wants to enter. This guy throws back when he gets hurt. He's aggressive and coming forward, but that could be his detriment. Ow!
Really fishing for that slip uppercut right there to really put it away. But Papa Lemur has made a little bit of a rally for himself. And a head kick!
That
is it. Oh man, that head kick was so vicious. He goes for the what? Todd gets his head kicked off. Oh my gosh, man. Great Miss making a statement. I gotta be unbiased when I say this, but I must say he was the underdog based off of the points coming into this fight. Zayef, is this Great Miss putting his sword down in the mountain saying, I am here to make a statement and win?
Yeah, he absolutely did here. We saw him just, as you said, coming into the pocket with reckless abandon. But sometimes that's what you have to do. He knew that Papa Lemur was going to try to box him up, stay on the outside, throw the leg kicks. So he made the fight dirty. He got where Papa Lemur wasn't comfortable, and he got 3 knockdowns without suffering a single one himself. That was a very impressive performance.
Yeah.
Truly, and like we discussed with the stylistic matchup coming into this one, it was the deadly hands versus the deadly kicks, and I thought it was very interesting how throughout that first round, the kicks just didn't seem to be effective, right? I think Papa Lemur had a great strategy, but once it wasn't working, he was out of options, and that's when Great Miss really took it to him.
Yeah, I can't help but agree with both of you there. And if you're in this bracket, you're looking up at Great Miss performing that well, that scarily, and that differently. I gotta admit, that was so different. I've never seen somebody just come in and just say, hey, I'm gonna throw these hooks, I'm gonna knock your head off. He did it, and he did a very good job at it. I mean, if I'm looking at the rest of this bracket, having to look up at that is horrifying, and that is also very intense. But boys and girls, Zayef and Bane, luckily in the commentary booth with me, obviously doing their first gig, and they're killing it as always. You knew it was gonna happen. We got it for you. You asked for it. I see it in the chat all the time. I see it on Twitter all the time. You asked for it. Here it is, Ed Parker's debut coming back onto the scene, the UFC 4 ESFL scene. He is back, and Warbzy, the guy making his ESFL debut, is running into an absolute dynamo. He is coming into the buzzsaw that is Ed Parker. Zayef, you got the scouting report, brother. As much as it could be said about Ed Parker, how do we know about Warbzy? We've gotten a good chance to kind of scout him and do our best. Zayef, how do you feel about Warbzy here?
Man, I mean, we know that Warbzy is new to the ESFL scene, but what he said is he wants to make a statement. That is his goal. He wants to show the world that he belongs within the ESFL. What better way to do that than fighting the man himself, Ed Parker, one of the best strikers on the game, if not the best striker on the game. So let's see, he's mirroring the kickboxing sniper. And man, this is going to be such a good fight.
The debut versus the return. Whose entrance gets spoiled tonight in the second fight of the 8OX tournament? Man, I mean, we know this is bodywork versus the unknown, the question mark that Warbzy does bring. So I'm interested to see what adjustments Ed makes against an opponent who he knows nothing about.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we saw the bodywork strategy employed by the likes of Suave Jamie. And whenever it came down to it, the body rock drops that you need 3 of them for aren't really there as they touch him up here. Kickboxer Sniper Warbzy versus Ed Parker. Here it is as they're starting things off. Ed Parker coming in, floating in and out of the pocket as is usual. Really working that nice Celtic cross you get with the kickboxer sniper class. Not already going for that lead body uppercut almost as planned. And I like what I'm seeing so far to Warbzy, able to stay out of danger almost. And like Zayev said, he really needs to make a statement right here if he wants to continue in this tournament. Obviously, knocking off Ed Parker would be so huge. Such a big feather in your cap, and the flying knee cancel. He just kind of falls out of the air. Zayev, man, this is a good start, slow start, technical start.
Yeah, absolutely. But what you're seeing immediately is Ed's defense, right? You're seeing him consistently keeping his head off the center line. He's not there to be hit. He's blocking his body when he needs to. And Warbzy's going to find that it's not very easy breaking through that defense of Ed Parker as he moves in with the jab, rear hook. Very, very nice boxing so far from Ed Parker.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I like about these sort of chess matches is it's just a slow down pace. You get to see what each guy wants to do much more clearer than in the firefights that we just saw. But one thing I want to advise to Warbzy is that patience is actually a negative sometimes as well. You don't want to get caught taking photos. And against a guy like Ed Parker, a picture could be death.
Yeah, and it's so scary because as Bane and as Zayev said, patience is a virtue. Patience is also sometimes a negative. Not many guys you're going to see in the UFC 4 community where that is the case as he's wearing down that block. Beautiful pull, rear hook. Ed Parker utilizing that switch stance out of the southpaw. We all know he's a Conor McGregor absolute dominator using him. So he's doing a really good job out of fighting out of that southpaw stance. And it's kind of throwing Warbzy off as we've seen. He's trying to employ those body hooks as he is just pacing him up. He goes up, he goes down. It is so difficult to know where to put your block. And by the way, it's looking, that block health and that long-term block health is looking to be super low. He's going to have to figure something out. Dare I say T4HS go for the clinch, Zayev?
Man, easier said than done, because as you see every time that Warbzy gets into the pocket, you're going to see just a little slip out of Ed, right? He's just avoiding the jab, avoiding the straight, and that's going to avoid the clinch if Warbzy tries to go for it. So right now what Ed's doing is he's either moving his head or intercepting Warbzy every single time he comes in with a beautiful straight counter right there, and he is not afraid to be in the pocket right now.
Warbzy definitely seeming a step behind. Would like to see him more working at range with the jab. Trying to figure out those minute... Oh, gets rocked there from the big head kick up top.
Oh my gosh. He goes to the rear body straight down to the lead head kick. And Ed Parker is flowing, as they say. Wow. Coming to the end of the round, man. Ed Parker looks sharp. I got to say 10-8, Mr. Ed Parker. I know they're not going to give it to him, but he might deserve it, Zayev.
Man, it was an absolutely dominant round from Ed Parker, showing why he is one of the best and showing that his skills have translated onto Xbox. You know, sometimes that's a bit of a question. How does the controller feel? You know, how do just the different button inputs feel? But he looks great right now.
Now, Parker, of course, known for his dedication to the midsection, would like to make a note of how good he looked going upstairs. I mean, he did a lot of effective damage to the head, both off of the entries of Warbzy and creating his own. Look at this, going to work in the pocket here.
It's scary, right? When you're going against somebody of the likes of Ed Parker, who you know is going to try and attack your body, you bring your hands down for a split second and you get lead head kicked your head off. So for Warbzy, I got to say, it's a little bit disheartening to feel this. And again, Warbzy has to find a way to throw Ed Parker off of his rhythm, maybe try to keep his distance himself and employ the leg kick. But man, it's just looking like everything he's trying just isn't working. I like that though. We see the first drop of the fight. Man, that is horrifying right there. And he's trying to reset. Ed Parker says, I don't care. Get over here. Love to see it. Finally, he gets the memo. Backs up Ed Parker. Again, this is his first time, so give him a little bit of a pat on the back. Zayev, man, one knockdown down. Warbzy is in a world of trouble.
He absolutely is, and we see a jab, rear hook, again looking for the lead head kick, just trying to break through that block, and a beautiful lead hook straight sits Warbzy down for the second time. This is not good for him. One more knockdown, and this is going to be it for Warbzy right here. He has to do something, make some kind of adjustment to just not get hit and try to deal some damage back.
Absolutely. And one thing to note about that second knockdown there is I loved how Ed Parker utilized that check, right? The lead hook to decimate the the block rather, and then led to that eventual knockdown. It just shows the IQ that this guy possesses.
Yeah, IQ is a big two-letter word for Mr. Ed Parker. The guy is an absolute genius on the sticks. And as you can see, he might be wanting to be a little flashy and wait for a counter. Love to see it. I'm really liking what I'm seeing there. It is the counter nonetheless. That beautiful, beautiful pull hook gets the job done. And he's going to take a bow front kick, the lead leg front kick, mind you. For the knockout, man, Ed Parker looked as sharp as ever. And if I'm great missed, looking back at this, that is a horrifying experience to see. And obviously, Warbzy, man, making his debut. Tough to see it, right? You got to go against the one of the greatest, the only Division 8 in UFC 3, now saying that UFC 4 is mine to take over. And again, shout out to Warbzy, man. It takes a lot to man up. I know not many people wanted this introduction back with Ed Parker, but man, you took it, and I give you all the respect in the world for that, of course. Ziath, man, you're a competitor. As am I. Is that horrifying to see that Mr. Ed Parker's skills do translate?
Man, it's horrifying, but not surprising. We are seeing one of the most skilled players in the game right here, just putting on an absolute showcase for us. This was an incredible fight from Ed Parker, really establishing why he is one of the best in the game against a tough and game Warbzy. You know, he came out with a good game plan to try to, you know, slip, stay in the pocket, just not take too much damage. But the magic of Ed Parker eventually got to him, broke him down, and that was the fight.
Yeah, and as you could see, Daddy Lemur in the chat saying, what a freaking Picasso. And man, based off of that, it just looked like a guy saying, hey, Conor McGregor said it, I could say it too. I'm going to put on a masterpiece, and we're going to go straight into this bracket right here. Bane, man, a lot of great fights. Let's stop gushing over Ed Parker. We got two more fights before we get down into those semifinals. Great Miss versus Ed Parker locked in. How do you feel about this Dirty Dave versus Dabikin, Bane?
You know, I mean, both of these guys possess very high-level striking. Dirty, of course, is ranked number 10 in the ESFL currently. Dabikin, the first Xbox ESFL champion. So these guys, credibility flowing on both sides. So it's going to be interesting to see. And like we discussed earlier, Yuri, there's an existing history between them. 5 wins for Dirty, 3 for Dabikin. So not really pitching a shutout on either side. These guys go back and forth and have figured each other out. So maybe we're going to see a bit more of a faster paced fight because they have that existing history.
Yeah, it's tough to see this. And again, Dabikin is a member of TD and EK Dirty and Ziath. You've seen all the trash talking, all the flinging in the ESFL Discord. And again, real quick before we get back into this, if you want to join the ESFL, if you want to work with guys like Ed Parker, we'd really appreciate it. Just ! Discord in the Twitch chat, and in YouTube we have it linked. And actually we're setting something up. We're not 100% locked in on the details, the deets for YouTube, but if you become a member, we're going to be able to get you some fights with an ESFL champion. Just go ahead, lock in that tier 3 membership, and we really appreciate it. It would be lovely for us. And again, as you were saying, Ziath, man, in the Discord chat, EK versus TD, this is a fight for more than just the 8-ounce tournament.
It absolutely is. I mean, you know, EK, they've recruited so many prospects in 2021. They're really looking to add to the repertoire and get back to that, you know, esteemed status that they had in UFC 2 and UFC 3 of being one of the best, if not the best, camps on Xbox. And right now, Dirty Dave is looking to make a statement right here that, you know, he's going to uphold that against a very tough Dabikin, who's a high-level striker, and he was the first Xbox ESFL champion on UFC 4, only losing once Suave Jamie came up the ranks. This dude is super high level against Dirty Dave, who knows the game in and out. This dude understands everything about the game, and he is ranked number 10 in the ESFL. This should be a great fight.
Yeah, 100%. Should be a great fight as we're seeing the CAF selections locked in. And Dirty Dave is up 5-3 on him. Like we said before, that doesn't really matter. Loving the high tie dreadlocks there for Dirty Dave. Coming out there, both sharing a couple of jabs to start things off. Really interested to see who attacks the body first, because both of these fighters love fishing for that body. And again, guys, I see the predictions in the Twitch chat. Please use those. Those are for you to have fun and, you know, to gamble legally, right? We're not going to give you any money for it, but it means something. It really does. Zaev, man, starting things off. We're only a minute into this round, but it's starting to look like a chess match. And Dabikin's actually looking pretty bad on his head health compared to Dirty Dave.
Yeah, I mean, he's just taking a few chip shots as he tries to move into the pocket. You're seeing a lot of straights, a lot of lead hooks from Dirty Dave as Dabikin's just trying to find his way in. But Dab is a very patient fighter. He knows that he has 3 rounds to work, right? And he's landing that jab straight. He's just measuring the distance between him and Dirty Dave, getting used to this calf. And he's doing, I think, a good job right now as he's slowly pushing Dirty Dave back.
Now, one thing to note about EK Dirty's pick here, he went with Boxer to Powerhouse. Again, one of the more powerful archetype picks. But again, the cardio is not really there, so I don't think Dirty wants this fight to go too long. So I would suggest to Dabikin, of course, yeah, be patient. Really drag this one out and avoid that big power early.
Yeah, you have to be super careful with your stamina in these fights. They could seem so fast with the 3 knockdown rule, but once you're in it, you get put in that situation where, oh my gosh, I was trying to sell out, get the 3 knockdowns, where's all my stamina? So Dabikin's doing a really good job of employing that strategy and trying to save some of it, as we see a huge lead overhand and not doing very much damage. That might be UFC 4, that might be Dirty Dave being just a little bit out of range, and I like that combo right there. Obviously, Dabikin works with the TD guys a lot. They're known for their damaging combos. They're not the flashiest, but they're looking to get the job done. And of course, EK Dirty Dave gets to work with the likes of Spider and Dino every day. And again, I must reiterate to you guys, this is 100% camp versus camp. You guys might not know it, but these two camps absolutely hate each other. And so far, it's looking like a really solid chess match of a fight. Dabikin obviously going to try and use that range. And I'm interested to see when he starts breaking out those teep kicks, Zaya.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. You know, he's starting to feint them, just starting to use them a little, Dirty responding, you know, with his own in kind. But right now, we're just seeing a bit of an advantage for Dabikin. He's just being a little bit cleaner on his shot selection. You know, he's not whiffing as much, and you're seeing the stamina of Dirty Dave go down as Dabikin is starting to impose his will here, Bane.
And you can see he's incorporating things like that lead upper, right? That rear straight to the body very successfully, either at the beginning or the end of his combinations. And that's what really is hurting that midsection of Dirty Dave right now, is because Dabikin is just really pushing that midsection to the limit.
Obviously, in a strategy that is being employed from both of these fighters, honestly. And that's a fantastic round. I'm not sure how you even begin to score that round. Luckily, I am not a judge. They moved straight on. They're saying, I don't care about that round either. Let's not check the fight stats. Love the confidence from the streamer of this specific fight, as we're seeing going for that lead hook, and again trading hooks in the pocket with a powerhouse calf is set up to be a damaging statement. I'm really liking what I'm seeing right now, just kind of moving back, kind of working behind that black line, if there was a black line in this beautiful Kumite arena. Doing a really solid job, both of these fighters, man, and it almost looks like both of these fighters are kind of nervous to really step in and engage, and I don't blame them, right? If you get put in a situation where you're forced to step in, and Dirty Dave with a beautiful lead straight slips to the right, throws that beautiful straight, Zaev and Dabikin returns one right back. This is looking a lot of fun.
Man, it's a lot of fun, and we saw Dirty Dave. You know, he's just trying to, just a bit of a different strategy here, but it's not working. Dabikin's pressuring him back right now, Bane.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would have liked to see more volume out of Dirty Dave. We understand that the cardio is really not the standout of that class pick, but you've got all the power in the world. He's just not landing the shots to make it work. You can see that the head health is on Dabikin's side right now because he's allowed the volume exchange to be more in Dabikin's favor. Look at that big lead.
Oh, when he gets the drop, wow. There it is. Dabikin making a statement. I am first to strike, almost a sniper, almost a Viper like gets the knockdown, and now it is 1-0. Dirty Dave is against the ropes, but I'm looking at these guys long-term and short-term stamina and head health and body health, and it's not looking bad for either side. So Dabikin made the knockdown, but it's not a considerable step in any direction as Dirty Dave is 100% in this fight. Dabikin, the opportunistic that he is, able to get the knockdown. And Zaif, man, you've been in one of these tournaments. I will continue to reiterate this point because it is an important one. You got a little more experience than me, brother. You get that first knockdown. Are you shaking and are you looking to change up your game plan, or are you taking your time, taking your breath, and saying, I'm going to stick with what got me to the show?
Man, I think once you get that first knockdown, it's so important to stick with what you're doing, because as soon as your opponent gets hurt, these guys are high level, right? They're some of the best players in the world. They're going to try to make adjustments, and if you lash out, if you go too hard, you may find yourself on the wrong end of the counter, and you're going to go to sleep. So I like what I'm seeing from Dabikin here. He got his drop, and he knows it. He knows he won the round. He knows he probably won the first round too. He is playing for the win right now.
Dirty Dave really not having a lot of success as we come into the closing minute of the second round here. Not finding the chin or body of Dabikin super consistently, moving effectively, right? Moving laterally and doing his best to get out of the way of some of these shots, but taking a lot of damage in turn. Yuri, what would you extend to him as we come into this third and final round?
Yeah, look, it's almost like Dabikin is doing a solid job of waving that little rattler, the little snake he is, and lulling you to sleep with these non-combos, right? I call them non-combos because it starts off, and I'm going to give that round to Dabikin. I don't think I need any more help from my guys here. It's almost like he's waving those little small flash combos around, and then all of a sudden you throw that body kick because you think it's time. It's not time. You get the rear straight, lead uppercut, gets the drop. Dabikin's up 1-0. Dirty Dave, man, I just say blitz, bro. You're powerhouse. Be the powerhouse that you are, and you're so good at this game. Continue to be good at this game, as there it is. He intercepts him in the middle of a combination, almost as if he is listening to me. Guys, if you are fighting on this card, please turn the commentary off. I want you to hear me, and Zaif and Bane obviously doing a great job, but we do not cheat in the ESFL. Zaif, starting things off, man, you have a little more experience in high-pressure situations like this. What are you saying Dirty Dave has to do to pull this back around, as Dabikin is really doing a good job of blitzing?
Man, Dave just has to look for that one shot right there. And he drops him one knockdown apiece. He has to push the pace, right? He has to force the fight onto Dabikin. He's either it's 1-1 or it's 2 rounds down, and his head health is low. He has to make Dabikin fight him. He has to, just make him exchange and get one shot off. That's all he has to do is one shot, as we saw, and then he can unload with a boxer powerhouse. Gets a beautiful knockdown right there. Looking to close in. That is 2 for Dabikin and 1 for Dave.
And that's the problem with staying overcommitted in the pocket. You open yourself up for risks like that. Great kick there from Dirty Dave, but this is not looking good as we approach the final 3 minutes in the fight down the stretch. I think they needs to trust in the power, but you have to pick your moments. Dabikin picking all the moments he needs!
That's it! Oh my gosh, Dabikin flexing. You could see the animosity as he's not bowing. Dabikin not even giving him a chance to bow. Goes in, throws 2 more significant strikes before he gets the bow out finish. And there is the animosity that I swore was there. He's waiting to pick his signature to finish it out, and he goes for the cutthroat. Gets the job done, throws it away. Beautiful, beautiful stuff right there, man. And you could tell, you could taste it. It was almost palpable.
The frustration was really evident from both guys there and just unleashed at the end. I will make a note and say, Dab, who knows, did he follow the rules? He didn't back up really after any of those knockdowns, so maybe that emphasizes the anger that these camps have at each other and just the desire to win over one another. That was a heated contest, and it all goes to Dabikin.
Yeah, man, that was really good stuff. Zaif, man, as we keep saying, these two really hate each other. These two camps can't stand each other. How much of that could you really feel in that fight?
Man, I mean, these are 2 of some of the nicest guys I've ever met, but even then, you could just see these are competitors, right? They are competitors, and they're looking to fight, and they're looking to win. And great competitors, might I add. I thought that was a very, very good fight from both men. Dabikin did a great job, but so did Dave, coming back in the third round for his moment, getting that knockdown, just wasn't able to do it. So now, Dabikin moving on to the semifinals to fight the winner of our next fight.
Yeah, go ahead, Bane. I know you're chomping at the bit.
Just saying, we're wrapping up the quarterfinals here with EK Dino versus Chinsworth. Dino, known as one of the top strikers in the ESFL, elite combination, mixing it up, sitting in the pocket, finding those shots. Chinsworth, on the other hand, really pressure heavy and more of a kickboxing style. So we have a stylistic matchup of mixing up more effectively, right, hands and legs, and someone who is just dedicated to finding those hooks and uppercuts at the phone booth. Yuri, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, man. Well, look, when it comes down to Dino, we all know of him as one of the most creative strikers in the entire UFC 4 landscape. So we're going to get to see a little bit of that. Hopefully he doesn't stick to his guns and just kind of do what gets him to the show. Nah, I want Dino to go out there and have a little bit of fun. He's so good at it. And of course, Chinsworth, man, he is solid as it gets. He is a pressure boxer, so that's going to kind of take away a little bit away of what Dino does, right? He's going to try and do the flashy stuff. Chinsworth is going to say no, sir, as we see that damning almost 13-2 record between the two. And Zaif, I know you can look past that sometimes in these big pressure situations. It's got to be horrifying as they're going to go ahead and touch him up right here. As they touch him up, Dino going for the Adesanya calf. Interesting. That is not real Israel Adesanya.
I was about to say.
What you might
he did a really good job with the calf.
What you might notice is it's actually Adesanya. It's Adesanya with a bit of a messed up face, you know. But I think that's great. You know, we're already seeing the creativity from Dino. He immediately started out with a straight knee body hook, head kick. Oh, but a beautiful combination from Chinsworth. Showing, hey, you know, Dino's the most creative striker, but I'm no slouch myself.
Yeah, I mean, Chinsworth really putting it to Dino early, finding a lot of success in the pocket and mixing up effectively, right? You saw that kick go high at, what, 2 feet away? People don't throw these against Dino, so let's see how Dino handles this pressure that he's feeling and the resistance from Chinsworth. Yeah,
one thing you're seeing out of Dino is he's really changing stances a lot. And that's something that you're really having a hard time to deal with because you see it, you get a look, and then all of a sudden he changes his stance right back up on you. I'd like to see Chinsworth continue to do what he's doing and just push the initiative. Continue to go forward and not let Dino have fun. If you take away the fun from Dino, he loses. I've seen it time and time again. Continue to work that body, take away some of his stamina, so now that he can't really throw those interesting, spectacular combos, I'll even say, as we see a big rock there, and there it is.
Wow.
Not playing around. Dino, obviously fantastic head movement to avoid the knockdown. Chinsworth says, I don't care, brother. Come here. Dino weaves and ducks every single one of those finishing shots. Zaif, man, Chinsworth's looking good.
He's looking really, really good, and what I love right now is that every time you think he's finishing a combination, he just throws out lunging jab, lunging straight, and then he's able to continue it. That's something I do for myself, and it's catching Dino off guard right now. With what he's doing, he's just continuing the combination when Dino thinks, you know, Chinsworth is almost baiting him into your turn, my turn striking, but then he stops his turn before it even starts, and that completely is throwing off Dino's timing right now.
Disruptive strategy of Chinsworth, something that we anticipated. Again, the high level of pressure that this guy implements is not something that you see too often. Dino doing a decent job at range, but the second that these guys start trading, it seems like it's all Chinsworth in the pocket. Great stick there from Dino.
Yeah, Chinsworth sticking to his name, going for that chin, as CTE Adesanya said, or he might have said, I don't know exactly who CTE Adesanya really is. Serve that chin up on the platter. Chinsworth is really doing a good job of pushing the initiative, not giving Dino the range and not giving Dino the distance. But it's interesting, you're seeing it. It almost looks like Dino's pressuring him, but every time he comes up to try and get into distance for a strike, Chinsworth is right in his face, employing the your turn, my turn strategy, as Zaif said, obviously very well said. And I'm really liking what I'm seeing as we have a solid 5 seconds left. A lot can happen here. Nothing going. Chinsworth going for the overhand. The tracking not throwing him a bone. I got to give round one to Mr. Chinsworth with the beautiful dreadlocks, Zaif.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very, very close and competitive round, but Chinsworth, he did just a little more damage. You know, Dino's got the stamina here, so he may be able to make a comeback, but you gotta think with the rocks, the damage, that was Chinsworth's strength.
And you see he's just getting right back to it here, attacking the body and the head effectively. Good check right, backing Dino up. Chinsworth just looking on a different level today.
Yeah, looking at a different level, and it's interesting because we felt Dino was going to come in here and have a little bit of fun. And like I said earlier in this broadcast, if you take the fun away from Dino, you lose out on a little bit, but Dino is going to figure out a way to get the job done. He is a competitor. He is a winner. So I'd like to see him mix it up, kind of push the initiative, and kind of get into Chinsworth's face. I think that's his best bet as we see a beautiful body kick caught there. Chinsworth giving him 2 jabs for his trouble. I'd like to see him try and employ that body teep. Just kind of push him away, kind of get Chinsworth out of his element, because if you take away that pressure that he is employing as he's pushing up into the pocket, you're going to be in for a good time as we see a beautiful ducking roundhouse kick. I love that strike, Zaya.
Yeah, it's a very good strike. What we're seeing here is a lot of mix-ups from Dino, right? He's going high, low, and he's just making Chinsworth think right now. And he's just making him think just a little too much to the point where it hesitates for just a second. That's when Dino's throwing those leg kicks in. And look at those leg kicks, those body kicks, and the stamina. Dino is working very well right now.
Having so much success going upstairs, Chinsworth seems to be struggling a little in the stamina department, but also one thing I'd like to suggest is how he might be drunk on the success of the first round, right? He was in the pocket trading and landing, but now he's not really doing a lot of those same things, right? The feints aren't there as often, they're not there as frequently. He's getting a little bit figured out, and Dino could be reading him like a book.
Yeah, and it's scary right there, Bane. Obviously very well said. Zayef, obviously very well said. I'm seeing the stamina deficiency out of Chinsworth. He won that round 1, but now he's got to take it back, reel it back in just a little bit, save enough stamina for round 3 if this does make it there, obviously. And you got to imagine, in that EK corner, Dino has some beautiful voices in his head. As the Rock returns it, low stamina. Chinsworth is now dealing with the low stamina problem, and that was able to allot him the Rock. Dino obviously doing a good job, listening to the corner's advice and saying, hey, look, reel it back in just a little bit. You could win without being flashy, and that's exactly what I like to see. We see drop number 2. EK Dino doing a very good job of pulling this fight back around. What is this gonna happen? He's trying his best to get back into the motion. Chinsworth is and trying to attack. He throws the flying knee, catches himself in midair with the big rear roundhouse, not going. Zayef, this is getting do or die here for Chinsworth. Do you think he just needs to survive out for this 20 seconds left?
Man, he does, but it's gonna be so hard. Every part of Chinsworth's body is hurting right now. His legs, his body, his head. It's going to be a challenge. 5, 4, 3, he steps in, and a beautiful rock to end the round. Wow.
What a frenetic pace as we approach the final 5 minutes here. Chinsworth seemed to leave a lot in round 1, round 2, ate a lot of shots. Dino coming on strong. This is going to be an interesting one. Can Chinsworth reclaim the momentum, or will we just see Dino steamroll in this 3rd and final round?
100%. Both of the fighters touching him up 10 seconds into this fateful round 3. Both of these fighters have to get the job done. Chinsworth down 1 knockdown to 2, and Dino is looking to be flowing as ever. And when you get down to that little bit of hand health and that little bit of body health, that's when Dino becomes so dangerous, because his changing levels ability is absurd, unseen by many people. I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of Dino, man. He's looking horrifying, just a little bit unlucky with that rear roundhouse. And man, I gotta be honest here. As he hits with Chinsworth saying, I could get just as flashy as you. There it is, the stamina. The stamina, giving him that switch kick body rock. Zayef, this is looking really, really bleak for Mr. Chinsworth.
That it is, Dino. He's still fighting. He's still trying to stick in there. But Dino, just so creative, going to literally every part of the body with every single combinations. Just absolutely beautiful. And look at that. The combo we started the fight with, looking to end with it. But Chinsworth is keeping his defense up. What a beautiful roundhouse to counter the rear leg kick.
Chinsworth needed the momentum. This is a big kick there. Into the body. That'll
there
do
it is.
That
wow.
is it. Chinsworth
I don't think he knows the rule.
knowing. go ahead and we can pull the broadcast. Dino MMA getting the job done. Mr. EK Dino MMA. And as if he needed any more proof, there it is. The beautiful crane kick gets the job done. And guys, do you know what that just set up? Tell me, do you? Chat, do you? I see 100 of you in the Twitch chat. I see the YouTube chat. That just set up the EK versus TD matchup in the semifinals. But first, man, that was a beautiful, beautiful job done there. Dino looking a little bit bad kind of going into that first round, not really looking to see get anything going, but he was just working down the stamina, working down the body health of Chinsworth, getting the job done there in that late third round with a beautiful crane kick. Man, Zaif, is there any more you could ask from a guy who's coming in fighting like Israel Adesanya, but a little more CTE?
Man, it was just a beautiful performance. I don't know if you could ask for anything more. Dino is just showing why he is one of the best and most creative strikers in the game. And what I love is that he's showing you can do it in competition. You don't have to follow what everybody else is doing. You can simply play your own way. And that is something that Dino does so well.
Absolutely, and when you see a guy like Dino start opening up and really getting creative with his 3-4-piece combinations, that's just not where you want to be. A lot of respect to Chinsworth for doing what he did to snag that first round and get that initial knockdown, but boy, when Dino pulls away, he fucking soars.
Yeah, he is very, very scary to go up against. And like I said, man, it's very intimidating going against that and saying, hey, look, I can come in your pocket and I can throw the hook. No. Dino has game plan for that as much as possible. Man, this is a really solid bracket looking too, man. This bracket is still jacked and packed to the brim. Great Mist is going to go up against the Ed Parker. And then we get that TD versus EK matchup once again. Dabikin versus Dino. That fight is always going to be good, no matter who is behind the sticks. Dino versus Dabikin. Going to be beautiful. And again, we're going to go to the bracket. And this is just looking a lot of fun. Zaif, man, what's your go-to ideal matchup here?
Man, there are so many good matchups here. Literally, any of these are finals-worthy matchups. You've got Dabikin fighting Ed Parker. You've got Great Mist fighting Dino MMA. You've got Ed Parker fighting Dino MMA, or you've got Dabikin fighting Great Mist. All of these men have proven themselves to be worthy and capable of competing and winning during the final matches. But first, they have to get past their opponents. And our first fight is going to be Great Mist versus Ed Parker. What do you think about this one, Yuri?
Yeah, man, when it comes down to it, man, this is going to be a lot of fun. And again, we just want to reiterate the point. The finals obviously is best of 3. You guys knew that, though. I didn't even have to tell you. But of course, we're going back to this Ed Parker going with the kickboxer sniper class. That is going to be a very interesting development right here because Great Mist had to go up against another showboat boxer. So he's going to have to deal with the speed and that excellent Celtic cross that is just so difficult to go up against. And of course, man, Ed Parker is Ed Parker. It's not going to change no matter what calf he is. He's going to fight one way. He's going to fight out of southpaw, and he's going to hunt for that body. Zaif, man, this is looking to be a really solid matchup. I'm really liking the sniper versus showboat calf fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very interesting matchup. You know, you've got someone who's very creative, very acrobatic, but we didn't see a lot of that from Great Mist in his last fight versus the man Ed Parker, the sniper archetype. And that is such a perfect way to describe how Ed Parker plays. He's a sniper. He picks his shots so well. It is just beautiful to see. And here we go.
Both of the fighters.
They're ready. Here we go. They're going to touch it up, hopefully right here. There we go.
You can feel the anticipation bubbling. Twitch with 100 people, YouTube with 60. We really appreciate you stopping by. You can only get this in one place, and that is in the ESFL. Thank you for stopping by. As we're seeing that Great Mist body teep, throwing him off balance, that does not count as a knockdown, just a heads up. I don't know if you guys knew. And I'm liking what I'm seeing so far to Ed Parker, really trying to find his distance, trying to find his mojo, as you will. But Great Mist employing that strategy that he had against Papa Lemur just saying, forget all the technicality. I'm going to come take your head off. Zaif, man, this is looking very good for both of these fighters so far. You know Ed Parker is going to eventually start working down that body health.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to start working it down. He's going to start working down that stamina as well. But we're seeing Miss just entering the pocket. He's so unpredictable that maybe, just maybe, he's going to catch Ed Parker as he slips, ducks, weaves, tries to move his head. And man, we've seen how dangerous Great Mist is when he has you hurt.
Absolutely. And one thing that I love to see about Great Mist early in this fight, now we're about 3 minutes left in the opening round, was the cornering, right? He was suffocating Ed Parker, not giving him an inch, but here at distance is where he doesn't want to be. Ed having a lot of success here, touching up that head often and frequent. I'd like to see Great Mist get back on that pressure and push Ed to the ropes.
Yeah, pushing Ed to the limit is the way to beat Ed Parker. Not able to get that major lunge away from that overhand. That overhand was a heat-seeking missile. Love to see it, and this is exactly what Great Mist needs to continue to do. Force Ed Parker to go for those major lunges and intercept him with switch kicks. I'm really, really liking, but there it is. Ed Parker, the sniper that he is, kickboxer sniper class, the sniper that he is, able to get that rock. And man, that was so tricky. He goes for that body hook there too, doing a lot of damage. Great Mist is catching himself in the spider web that Mr. Ed Parker sews so well. But he's looking good with his head health so far. Great Mist needs to kind of settle down just a little bit and ease up on those big combinations where it puts him at low stamina.
Yeah, and what you're seeing here is every time Mist throws his first strike, Ed Parker's pulling. Because he knows it's going to be a hook right there, beautiful. But as I was about to say, the second strike from Great Mist, always a straight strike. Even when rocked, Ed Parker knew that, so he weaved to the side. As soon as he saw that second strike come out, he was able to avoid it. That was just a beautiful read from Ed Parker, and it's what caused the knockdown as well.
Minute left in the opening round here. Ed seemed to read every strike there. Again, the head movement on point, defense for Parker, but Great Mist not going away. I mean, this guy stays in front of you even when he's hurt. That is impressive, at least to say.
Yep, that is man's folly after all. I'm going to stick to my game plan. Damn if you stop me. I love it what I'm seeing. Great Mist is sticking to his game plan, not getting anything going. He got the... And I think that's it.
No, I think that's 2 knockdowns for Parker.
I was about to say, man, that was fast. I didn't think it was. I apologize, guys. Everybody, settle down. Get your predictions in. We love to see you guys. 90 people in the Twitch chat. Love to see it. Ed Parker looking as sharp as ever. Great Mist doing a little bit better of a job than Papa Lemur did, Zaif.
Just a little bit better, but not by much. I mean, it's so difficult, so difficult to fight Ed Parker. Warbzy found that out. You know, he came in with a game plan and Ed nullified it. Now Mist has come in with the pressure boxing, the head kicks, and Ed is nullifying that right now too. He's showing how to adapt. And this is just a beautiful performance here.
Absolutely incredible from Ed Parker to see on his return to the top. And, you know, if you're Great Mist in this situation, it's a 2-0 deficit on the knockdown. Really feeling touched up as we are now in the first minute of this second round. And I just feel like he needs to sell out, but that hasn't worked up until this point. Yeah,
selling out against Ed Parker is the wrong strategy. Technical boxing with Ed Parker is the wrong strategy. Going to the body with Ed Parker is the wrong strategy. And there it is. Ed Parker showing the love right back as we're about to see the rear front kick this time getting the job done. He's thrown the lead. He's thrown the rear as he bows out. Great Mist doing what he could, not really doing just enough, man. And that is so disheartening when you see, and we're going to go right back to the bracket, of course, right after this. We want to get you guys to look at that beautiful PDF that Mr. EK Bossman does and works so hard doing. Really appreciate it. And before we get back to the reaction back to that beautiful fight at Parker getting the job done, as if anybody had any doubts, I just want to give a shout out to everybody in the ESFL Discord, the staff. We had to scramble just a little bit, not by much, but just a little bit to get the job done for you guys. We know how much these tournaments and we know how much these events mean to you, and we just really appreciate everybody. Of course, you have Z Hunter, who is, you know, boss man. He does such a good job of running this league so well, and it's just really beautiful how we all get the job done when it comes down to it. And obviously, EK Boss Man coming it together bringing it together with those beautiful PDFs. He always does such a good job with his graphics. They're so pretty, so cute. EK Boss, man, doing a really solid job. And man, Saif, Ed Parker looked like a freight train that is unstoppable.
Yeah, he looked absolutely unbelievable. I mean, Ed Parker is just so hard to beat, and he showed that again, entering into the finals to fight the winner of our next fight, Dino MMA, EK Dino MMA, fighting TD's Dabikin. Very interesting here.
Absolutely. And again, like we've discussed several times in the broadcast up to this point, the existing histories, the rivalry between competitors, 21 wins for Dino, 19 for Dabikin. So that's a pretty close spread between them. It's interesting to see who's going to come out on top. Yuri, do you think that maybe is mentally something that could go into it, right? They're so close in their history.
Yeah, well, there's definitely hatred between these two. Not even anything to do with the camps. These two just flat out don't like each other. There's a bunch of trash talk in the Discord, and I always think trash talk makes the fight just a little bit better. You could really taste that hatred, and I love to see it. Of course, they're going to lock it in right now, man. Calf versus calf, as if you guys had any qualms with that. TD and EK can't stand each other. They've made it known time and time again. We're going to get to see CTE Adesanya versus Dabikin with the beautiful blonde afro. Man, look, this is going to be a tough one to predict. Again, guys, 100 people in Twitch chat. I know you're watching. And the people of YouTube, stay on YouTube, but come to Twitch too if you want to do your predictions, man. This fight has so much animosity leading up to it. Dabikin obviously already knocking off one of the EK guys as we're touching him up right here. Man, this is getting very hot, as they say in the Twitch chat. Love to see you guys. This is going to be super scary right here. Both of these fighters, Dabikin's going to really have to figure out the puzzle that is Dino fast. You don't want to get down with your body health. You don't want to get down with your head health before too long, and all of a sudden you're in a position where you're having to deal with this absolutely technical, striking, beautiful stuff always together, man. But Dabikin doing a good job of pressure and kind of taking away Dino's win from his sails. And Zaif, if you have any advice for Mr. Dabikin dealing with this spider web that is Dino, what is it?
Man, when you're fighting Dino, it's all about defense. You're not gonna just push him back, and you're not gonna land one clean counter. It's a war of attrition every single time, and that's what we're seeing right now. He's slowly making his reads, but he's being so patient here. You just have to keep your block up, you have to keep your head movement there, and you have to make your reads fast.
Absolutely, and of course, Chinsworth came in with a great strategy that was very pressure heavy, but once those reads were made, once Dino analyzed what was in front of him, he pulled away in spectacular fashion. Dabikin needs to, as I have mentioned, be patient. Don't give him a ton. Pick the moments and be active in those.
Yeah, be in the moment. That is very good advice from two very good commentators, of course, coming in with their first time. And man, I am as jealous as it gets to have Ed Parker, Dino, and Dabikin in my first commentary gig. I love it. These guys are doing a great job, of course, as always, as we're seeing a really good job of Dabikin kind of not playing Dino's game. And as Zaif kind of I'll reiterate the point. You kind of take away the fun from Dino, and you kind of not play his game. Just get out of range of that body teep. Oh, Dino going for the shot right there. Can't do that. And you kind of take away the distance management that Dino has by just popping in and out of the pocket here and there. Really good job doing that. And of course, the TD membership that Dabikin has, it obviously it means a whole lot, because these guys fight similar, not the same, but very similar. And the EK is so wide and broad that they have so many fighters that could give you a look that is Dabikin. So both of these fighters have done a really solid job of game planning for sure. But man, it's looking like Dabikin kind of is in control of this fight to an extent. And this is the lowest I've ever seen when it comes down to the strikes landed. Both of these fighters just getting in and out of the pocket. Man, this is good stuff so far, Zai.
Man, very good stuff. Very high level from both of these gentlemen, as we see a great flying knee from Dino off of the kick catch. And these health stats so similar, as both are just trying to still, even through the first round, they are still trying to figure each other out here.
Head and body, very similar as we approach the next 5 minutes. But one thing I want to note is the left leg of Dabikin hurting, whereas the right leg of Dino is the one that's a bit worse for wear. So they are just exchanging at every level of the body, head, midsection, downstairs to the legs. And while I like that they are mixing the strikes up, one of these guys has to dedicate. One of these guys has to put the pressure on one specific spot and make those shots count to that section.
Yeah, very, very true. And that's kind of the cop-out answer. When you can't get in the pocket and you can't trade too much, just kick the leg, as we see Dabikin almost on cue. Bad talking me, lovely, love to see it. Gets off a huge combination, doing a good deal of permanent head health damage. And you kind of want to get Dino off of his game. You kind of want him to start trading with you, where I believe Dabikin has the absolute advantage. But man, this is as good as it gets when it comes down to this camp versus camp rivalry. I keep reiterating that point because it is so valid here. Dino obviously going for that great leg kick, doing a little bit of damage. You kind of want Dabikin to switch stances. I think that's been the game plan up to this point from Dino. If I could read his mind, I cannot. I am not a mind reader. I apologize. I try my best at commentary. And what I'm seeing right now, Dabikin doing a really solid job of taking in where he's going to throw and coming right into the pocket and exchanging. And again, guys, we love you. 100 people in the Twitch chat. Love to see it. I see JGs are chilling. Love ya. Chur, who is doing an excellent job in the production, chilling as well with the beautiful Habib emote. Go ahead, like and subscribe, man. This is a chess match of chess matches. And there it is, Dabikin, the 1-2, getting that big straight right there, doing a good deal of damage, Zayef.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of damage. Dabikin seems to have made his read, and now it's up to Dino to make his adjustments here. You know, he's just backing up slowly, firing away off that block. But a beautiful jab, rear hook, lead uppercut, 2 body hooks, and 1 hook to the head. Dino is in a world of hurt right now.
You know, and there's a difference between pressuring and effective pressuring. I love Chinsworth's approach, but he was throwing too much, right? Being too active. Dabikin is pressuring, but choosing the moments and being very intentional, like we saw in his first fight against EK Dirty, right? He absolutely sees and picks his moments, and right there with that rock, it only emphasizes it. Let's see if Dino can make the adjustment, because so far, in my opinion, Dabikin's pulling away.
Yeah, and when you get rocked, your first thought process is, I gotta go get that back, and Dabikin doing a good job taking that away from him. Gotta be careful, and there it is, taking that rock away from him, not letting Dino get that. Ooh, beautiful ducking roundhouse, though. I like how Dabikin was able to switch stances and not give Dino a rock back. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far. This could get interesting in this 3rd round if it makes it there. Obviously, I got a feeling it will. Gets that rock after and the knockdown. Dino is really pulling this together. 30 seconds left in this round. Zayef, what do you do if you're Dabikin here? Do you go try and chase a knockdown, or you just deal with what's on the table?
Man, you gotta go with what you get. Being too over-aggressive here is going to lead to getting rocked and possibly dropped near the end of the round here. Dabikin is now in trouble.
Dabikin's survival mode here in a round that he was largely winning for the most part. That is tough to see him kind of fumble it at the end. Dino coming on strong. The momentum is up in the air. Who's going to take it? Final 5 minutes.
Final 5 minutes indeed, and Dino right now just looks to be pulling away with the momentum, but it's been so close throughout. You know, we thought that maybe, just maybe, had the advantage in that first round. Dino turns it around in the second. It's all going to come down to who can stay calm, impose their game plan, and get that final round.
And collected. Dabikin seems coming into this final round. But again, one thing I want to note is the abandonment of the leg kicks, right? Dabikin hasn't thrown a leg kick in a long time, and you can see that Dino's health on those 2 legs is kind of coming back up, whereas Dabikin's left leg is busted.
Man, his left leg is busted, and he's even been forced to switch to southpaw here. But he's still doing a good job with that very nice interrupting straight every time Dino comes into the pocket. He's just looking to interrupt or pull counter him with that, I believe it's a Celtic cross that Dab has on that calf. I believe both of them have it, actually. So, man, this is just a battle of wits right now between 2 top-level competitors.
And Dino's done a really effective job at monitoring the block breaking and keeping that block as low as possible when they are sitting in the pocket, so his exchanges are landing, whereas Dabikin's are kind of just hitting the guard of Dino.
Yeah, and this is where it gets interesting right here, right? Because Dabikin really needs to sell out and push forward, but Dino is just out of reach when it comes to this. And he's doing a good job right now pushing forward, but Dino, man, so good at those comeback combos. And Zayev, man, this is getting do or die situation for Dabikin.
100% do or die. He's got 2 minutes left to make something happen as Dino is slowly working his way into the range, getting Dabikin's head health almost always flashing, just like he did with that leg. He's got him hurt. Dabikin moving his right stick, and he is down. That is 2 knockdowns for Dino MMA. Dabikin has to make something happen here.
Final 2 minutes remain in this hotly contested semifinal bout. 8OX on the line for both of these competitors. Dabikin needs to find some answers quick.
For sure, Dabikin needs to find answers, but his long-term head health and his long-term leg health is looking so great, and you get that power drop whenever you have to switch stances, so this is super dangerous for him. And something that I'm really not seeing too much of Dabikin really able to pull it back together when it mattered. And Dino is just in almost autopilot mode, just kind of piecing them together and just kind of picking them apart. And Dino practices like this with his friend EK Spider so very much, man. So this is super, super difficult. Here it is, 30 seconds left. Dabikin needs to throw a flying knee, needs to throw the spinning back fist. He's got to do something to get this one together, but it's just not looking like he's able to.
Oh!
It goes to the body, and it goes to get
knockdown.
Oh my God, just as I said it, Dino taking his time getting up. I don't blame him. This is scary. This is horrifying. Big rock.
Oh my goodness, we are going to go to the judges for this hotly contested semi-final contest. Man, what a fight. I don't think there's anything we can say until we hear their decision here.
Yeah, you gotta hear the decision here. Bane, man, what do you think about that contest? Just good stuff all around.
Oh, absolutely. Both these guys really came into the semifinal with a lot to prove, but you can see here Dino MMA does snag the judge's nod, gets the decision, and I have to agree with that, right? He did a lot more effective work as the fight went on. I think in the first round, Dabikin and Dino were very hotly contested. You can see a 29-28 overall on all 3 judges' scorecards, but the difference in how they approach rounds 2 and 3 is what really swayed my opinion. The leg strikes, the continual damage downstairs that Dino was able to do, and just as you saw, the more effective work upstairs. So I think while it was a wonderful bout from Dabikin, Dino really just put it to him.
Yeah, Dino put it to him, and EK wins the battle for now. The war is not over. If you want more EK versus TD action, tune into the ESFL. The EK's got so many members, you're almost bound to see an EK versus TD matchup, and I hope you guys felt that energy, felt that power between each other, because those two hate each other. Lovely to see that. Beautiful stuff in here, man. This is when it gets down to it, right? This is the finals. Zayev. This is going to be a beautiful, beautiful finals. And again, let's check out this bracket and all the good stuff that you guys got to see free on Twitch. We ask you to do one thing, however. If you can, head kick that like button, put that notification bell in a crucifix, and exploit the game with the Americana when they try and transition. And if you're on YouTube and you have the time, subscribe. And if you got the change, brother, if you want to work with these greats, become a member, tier 3 member, and it gets you the chance to fight with the ESFL champion. What more can I give you? I'm giving you so much already. But man, this tournament was just fantastic. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and give the nod to Ed Parker so far as the man of the tournament. That Chinsworth versus Dino MMA fight was just so much fun. Zayev, what was your absolute go-to fight for this tournament so far?
Man, the go-to, it's gotta be the latest one. Dino versus Dabikin put on an absolute show here. Just a beautiful, beautiful performance between both men. I mean, that was simply just incredible. It was such a good fight.
Masters at work, truly. And Yuri, to your point about the subscribing and the becoming a member, I think they're waiting for one more unbutton from you to do that. That shirt's coming apart.
Yeah, man. And like I said, Bane, obviously, I know he's a big Ed Parker guy. He was going to give you the Ed Parker answer. And Ed Parker versus Dino MMA lathes in the weight. Ed Parker, obviously, you know who he is. The only Division 8 in UFC 3, the return to UFC 4 action. And Dino MMA, a pretty striker nonetheless. So both of these guys are going to try their best to put on a show for you. Lovely, lovely stuff here. And when it comes down to Ed Parker, you're going to have to be careful with that fake glove touch when the going gets tough. This is obviously a best of 3 tournament. Bulldog in the Discord obviously knows a little bit about that fake glove touch, so you got to be super careful. And Parker's a wily one when it comes down to it. Zyf, man, let me get your predictions. I got my first prediction here, brother. It's gonna get interesting.
Man, it is definitely gonna get interesting, and you gotta think they are fighting at flyweight. Now, this is not a weight class that Ed Parker is most familiar with, but he's performed well in it through the entire tournament. But Dino MMA specializing in those flashy, creative, and fast combinations, that is what flyweight is about here. I am so excited to see how these two perform.
Absolutely. And I mean, when you're talking about speed, it just doesn't get quicker than 125. And I would have to think that that helps Dino's game plan. I mean, this guy at range is able to do those sort of leg kick stalls into a spinning back kick, really mixing it up so effectively. And that's not something that we've seen work, or not something that we've seen Ed Parker have to deal with. Nothing's worked against him so far. The heavy pressure from the beginning, the chess match, the tactical approach, it hasn't worked. So let's see if the speed and high flying intensity that Dino MMA brings can topple Ed Parker.
Here it is. The finals, the best 2 out of 3 for the orange name in the Discord, the 8-ounce champion. Both of these fighters showing love early on. Ed Parker coming out in that southpaw stance. Dino is going to be bouncing around just a little bit, as he is known to do. Ed Parker doing a good job checking that leg kick early on, and that really does a solid job of deterring you from throwing any more of those leg kicks. Ed Parker trying his best to kind of cut off the ring, this beautiful Kumite arena, but he's just not getting the job done so far. Missing on that teep kick to the body, but that switch kick is true. Zyf, man, starting things off. You knew this was going to be fun, but this is slowly turning into a chess match of sorts.
Absolutely, and I mean, you can expect nothing less, right? You've got 2 of the best quote-unquote chess players in this game. So calculated, so precise. Oh! A beautiful head kick to catch the slip from Ed Parker from Dino. Oh my goodness. This is already shaping out to just be a masterpiece, a master class of adjustments, reads, and precision here.
And there's so much information to process, so much data on the table for both of these guys with the amount of feints, the amount of switch stancing that we're seeing. It's not something you're going to find in a quick match. I mean, this is truly the top of the top.
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, I just want to keep reiterating this point. You are watching something that comes once every few years. Dino MMA versus Ed Parker is a beautiful, beautiful matchup. And if you're new to this game and you're trying to learn, this is somebody you're going to 100% want to emulate. You want to be Ed Parker. There are so many Ed Parker clones in the UFC community for a reason. And Dino MMA is always so much fun to watch. You want to implement some of those combos. So if you're new, you're watching this and you're just tuning into the ESFL for the first time, get out that pen and get out that pad. This is a lot of fun, as I see Mr. Chippy in the chat. Love to see him. Always showing love, always subscribing, always dropping the likes. As we see a beautiful lead head kick to the straight. Ed Parker getting a little fancy with his combinations, a la Dino MMA. And Zyf, man, this is interesting. This is something that Dino might not have predicted. Ed Parker kind of coming out of his shell a little bit because he's making them.
Yeah, I mean, Dino is doing a great job at that, but a beautiful body uppercut and a head kick as well, man. Dino got a little uncomfortable there as Ed was moving forward. Ed saw what Dino was about to do, read it perfectly, and ducked under for the body uppercut. Now Dino at a stamina deficit, a body deficit, and these are 2 things you cannot be at a deficit at with Mr. Ed Parker here.
Absolutely agree with you, Zyf, and that has got to sting for Dino MMA, but that's got to sting even more. What a good stick by him.
Yeah, Dino really able to get the rock and maybe even put this round up for contention. I got to give it to Ed Parker as we are crawling into the end of it. Man, could you feel the animosity? Could you feel the pressure? I might have to come out of this shirt after all, man. That was so much fun. That was a crazy fight right there. And that was only the first round. You're guaranteed some more because this is the best 2 out of 3. Both of the fighters touch them up, showing love to each other as always. You knew this was going to come. You knew people were going to watch this. So here it is. Boom, throwing that teep kick, gets caught 2 times in a row, not allowing it to happen. And Dino MMA needs to continue to try and counter and block. But man, your block health against Ed Parker isn't great. As we see the beautiful rear head and the drop, unbelievable, beautiful stuff. Zayef, man, Dino is in grave trouble, down 2 knockdowns to 0.
Man, he's got to do something. I think it's only 1 knockdown so far, but man, Ed Parker is putting on a masterclass right now against one of the best strikers in the game in Dino MMA. This is absolutely incredible here. He's knocked him down. He's working his body. He's working his block. He's working his head. And he is just doing phenomenally here, Bane.
Such an evenly contested bout so far as we approach the midway point of round 2. But I will say, as I said earlier, big moments seem to be all in the Ed Parker camp, right? With that huge combination that he lit Dino up with in the first round. And then that knockdown so far. Look at him go to work here.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was about to say. Bane taking the words right out of my mouth. Whenever it came down to it, Dino was always able to pull the big moments away from his opponent. But Ed Parker being so intelligent, beautiful unset up rear head kick. Nothing better in the game than a beautiful unset up rear head kick. Getting the rock. These 2 fighters are meeting their match when it comes down to the striking department in this excellent matchup here at the 8-ounce tournament, UFC 4, hosted by the ESFL. We'd love to have you guys. We'd love to see the chat go crazy for this because this is always a lot of fun for you guys. Getting into that single collar tie, Dino really being the only one to implement that. And that's something you think you'd see more out of the Muay Thai tournament, but both of these fighters and the rest of the card for that matter has kind of strayed away from it. Interesting to see if Ed Parker continues to do that. So we're going to see how this works out with 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Beautiful head kick there, blocked, goes to the body. And Dino MMA really needs to start settling in and kind of really able to throw his stuff away, Zayef.
Man, he's gotta do something different, right? You know, we saw he's looking for that rear head kick as Ed Parker slips. You know, he's just looking for something to change the tide of this fight, and he's got his head out decently low if he can try to get a rock or drop here and then just build off that momentum. But right now, it is all Ed Parker, although Dino MMA having a few moments in this round.
Absolutely, yeah. Dino not out of this in any way, shape, or form, has just tasted those gloves a little bit more often, gets stung there. Ed Parker taking his time, 15 seconds remain. Can Dino get to the 3rd round without another knockdown? Let's see.
Yeah, and he's got to, right? Because that's going to get even more serious. And there it is, making it into this 3rd round. Ed Parker has seemingly been in the driver's seat at this 8OX tournament. I apologize for calling it 8-ounce. EK Bossman giving me a hard time in the chat. Love to see him come through. Obviously doing a great job. But yeah, man, Dino needs to figure something out fast. He's able to catch him when it comes down to it, but he needs to really let go and just kind of be Dino. Kind of be what Dino does, really use those teeth and sink them in and be the spider, the beautiful stuff that we've seen him do before. But Ed Parker is doing such a good job of deterring that. And here it is, the 3rd round in this 8OX tournament. This is getting serious for Dino. Obviously, this is 5 rounds. So both of these fighters have plenty of time to employ their strategies. Both of these fighters are really solid when it comes down to time management and stamina management, though, Zayef.
Yeah, I mean, they're both doing very well. We're seeing them in the 3rd round. Both have decently high stamina. Ed almost at like 85%. Dino sitting around 65% here. And Ed just working the block, working the body, working the head as he looks to find his opportunity here against Dino, who's just trying to stay defensively sound right now, Bane.
The educated striking, you know, is what these guys are all about and have had such good moments. But something that we talked about in Ea, you just mentioned this, you're in that flow state, right? Whoever finds their rhythm is the one who is typically going to take it away and gradually just put the pain on their opponent. And up until this point, Ed Parker's been the one that has been taken away. Now, Zayef, question for you. This is a great exchange there from Dino. This is a 5-round fight. Stamina, big conversation. As a guy who has had 25-minute bouts in your past, how do you manage that moving forward?
Man, well, you look at your stamina as if it's something that you need to both preserve and you also need to expend as a beautiful knockdown
Wow.
from Ed Parker that's going to make two. But as I was saying, you look at it, you need to preserve it, but you also need to use it. If you have that very high stamina that Ed Parker does, he is using it perfectly. Wrong combinations, right? He's just using that stamina that he's kept in reserve for so long, and he's unloading on Dino MMA right now. But Dino, he just needs to keep his burst short. He needs to fire off, but he needs to make sure he's not blowing his wad while he does it, or he's gonna look completely gassed, as you see right there.
Yeah, and that might be something he's going to have to employ in the next one. Ed Parker seems to be in the driver's seat, but that is what's so good about these 2 out of 3 finals. You get the chance to make adjustments. As any one of these champions who has gone to the 3-fight final will tell you, the adjustments made are always really nice and always really interesting to see how they come back. But Ed Parker just not really selling out. Oh my God, that front kick was so expertly timed. Ed Parker doing 2 body hooks. He's trying to get this fight over now, not anything else. He's looking for the pull counter, not getting it. Dino knows he's going, tries to go for that straight, nothing going for Dino either, man. And this is getting a do or die situation here for Dino. Wow, that timing on that straight was just so it's a beautiful uppercut when Ed's fishing to the body, able to duck underneath that straight. Oh my gosh, Ed Parker's feints are making Dino's feints. Dino is trying his best to catch him with his hand in the cookie jar. 20 seconds left. Another excellently timed front kick from Dino MMA. As we're seeing, this is going to be a serious final. One of the best we've ever seen in these 8OX tournaments. An uppercut for his troubles, taking it to the end of the round. Round 4. This is where it gets interesting. The championship rounds, as they say. Zayef, man, what is your thoughts going into round 4?
Man, what an incredible fight and what a performance from Ed Parker, right? He is doing so well here. Just working the body, the head of Mr. Dino MMA. But as we saw, Dino is still in this. One uppercut, one front kick, one head kick. It can change the course of the fight. And he's looking to do that right now, just looking for that one shot that could change the entire fight here.
Absolutely, and I was going to suggest that this could be the moment that Dino is waiting for. Ed Parker kind of selling out a little bit, coming forward and being a lot more aggressive than he typically has. That's where you can catch him, but again, that's not what you want to rely on. Great block-breaking kick.
Yeah, going for that duck and roundhouse when Ed is fishing for the body. Dino MMA so good at what he does. And his timing as he's missing that rear head kick. Ed Parker's got to do a better job of not selling out for this finish. He doesn't need it. Let it come to you. And Dino obviously realizing that he is down quite a bit in this fight. Really selling out to try and get the job done in his favor. This is the first fight of the 8OX tournament. This is what you come to see. The finals. The great finals. Ed Parker versus Dino. What more can you ask, guys? Really doing a good job.
That
he knew
is
it was coming. He knew it was coming from a mile away. Ed Parker ducking, premeditated murder that man just did. Excellent stuff there. Ed Parker going up 1-0, and almost as if he didn't miss a beat, getting the job done when it matters in the finals. We've got one more fight for Dino to come back, one more fight for Ed Parker to win it all. And that beautiful lean to the right, left hook drops him into the nether world. And man, Zayef, that was so good from both of these fighters.
Man, it was just beautiful. That is what Ed is known for, too. He feints to the body, goes to the body, goes to the body, until he conditions you to throw the uppercut that Dino rocked Edworth. But it was all part of his plan. He saw the uppercut coming. He slipped it, hit him with that left hook, or right hook, I believe. And that was it. Who cares what hook it was? It ended the fight as we go into the second one right away. Neither of these men wanting to waste any time here.
Seems Ed would be cut from a different cloth, going up 3-0 on the knockdowns against Dino in that one. Gotta be tough mentally to really pull yourself back and sort of take a moment, relax, deep breath, decompress, because that was a close fight, but the competitiveness of it wasn't really all that consistent. Dino really needs to make some serious adjustments in this best of 3.
Serious adjustments indeed. Both of these fighters not showing respect this time. Dino looking for that bow, and we have a little bit of a delay. We do apologize. Ed Parker going in for that leg kick. Get away from me. Goes for the bow. Dino not returning one. He's a little sick. Love to see it. Dino coming in frustrated. Is this going to change? Because you could tell before he was going for that bow in that first fight. Is he a little frustrated? Is he going to try his best to sell out right now? And this is a Dino we haven't seen. Dino on the ropes, almost at that championship belt that he craves so much being taken away from him against the Ed Parker, returning Ed Parker. Ed Parker going for that lead, looking for that pull counter, looking for that side nasty slip hook, the stationary slip hook everyone loves to see, not that nasty slip hook. Ed Parker working that body. Dino returning uppercut, rear hook, and he's got to do a good job of this, man, because if he doesn't, this is where it's going to get dangerous for Dino, as Ed Parker seems to be as flowy as he's ever been, minus the console, minus the UFC 3. Ed Parker looks to be in his zone.
Man, he is in his zone, and he is just in a flow state right now, you know? And you gotta wonder, well, clearly not, but you gotta, like, wonder how he maintained his composure. His controller was disconnected at the start of the fight. And a beautiful slipping hook again as Dino throws the uppercut to try to counter the body shot. Man, Ed Parker is just on absolute fire right now.
Dino with an uphill battle, and one thing to suggest when he's in that southpaw stance, that left hand of his, the straights, the hooks, have not landed. Ed Parker, too educated defensively, has been able to slip and rip every single one of those strikes.
Yeah, it's almost like he's playing with two controllers. His controller and your controller. He knows exactly what you're about to throw before you throw it. And you can change it up all you want. Ed Parker saying it doesn't matter. I know these things. Call him Mystic Mac. Doing a really, really solid job. And Ed Parker obviously coming out in that southpaw stance, making Dino change it up. And you know, Dino loves to switch his stances as he does. I'd like to see if maybe he goes for that leg kick, right? Maybe get Ed Parker out of his game just a little bit, take him out of his element, and force him to go orthodox. But I got a feeling he knows exactly what to do there too. And the body teep, obviously. Dino needs to go back to that body teep. Not worried about it getting caught a couple times, but you want to start wearing away this stamina. Obviously, Ed Parker, known for his stamina management, known for his counters. Zayef, man, you've been in this position before, down 1 round to none in a beautiful best of 3, a dangerous best of 3. Beautiful stuff there from Dino. What do? You're watching this fight, Zayef. You're obviously way better than me, the PS4 champion himself, sitting next to me. How do you come back in this fight? What do you do against Ed Parker here?
Man, right now, Dino is just a little bit behind in this chess match. He's trying to think 2 moves ahead, but Ed is thinking 3, right? So what you need to do, change the game, change the entire board, right? Either pressure, clinch, show some new looks, show something Ed has not seen before within these fights. You have to do something else, or else the snowball that's been continuing since the first round of the first fight, it's going to continue, and Ed's going to get the win here unless Dino does something completely new.
Absolutely. The complacency in the adjustments could be the downfall on Dino's side, trusting his skill set too much. That's something that you see at this really high caliber level, is guys that want to stick by their guns to the very end. The captain goes down with the proverbial ship. But again, you see here now Dino at an early stamina deficit again. This is just not really looking good. Hasn't had a lot of success either in those first 5 minutes.
Yeah, success is the key to winning here, and Dino just getting countered at every step of the way. And I like what Zayef said. You kind of touched on this. I'm going to reiterate that point just a little more. Go for that clinch. Really kind of take the movement away from Ed Parker, because what makes him so good is his ability to be so patient and just float in and out of the pocket, doing an excellent job of that, really working his way through it. And you see Dino just punching air so often. And when it comes down to that 4th and 5th round, all of a sudden you've got absolutely no more stamina, and you're trying to work through it. Beautiful block counter there for Dino. Able to really throw something back, and that's exactly what you need to do, kind of counter the counter striker. But yeah, I'd like to see Dino maybe go for a clinch, start working the body just a little bit, get some cheap single collar tie knees to the body. Or either that or try and catch Ed Parker slipping, because you know exactly what he wants to do. He wants to slip strike you. But, you know, Dino's a big boy. Dino's a great striker in his own right, which almost makes what Ed Parker's doing so much more special. Zayef, man, I know there's really not a lot you can do when Ed Parker is flowing like this. How do you feel about his performance so far, man? It's just looking elite.
Man, well, what I'm seeing right now is vintage Ed Parker. I'm just seeing him perfect right now as he does another counter to the ill-advised uppercut on his body strikes. He is forcing Dino to just try to make reads, try to do anything to get him out of there, but he already knows what those reads are going to be, and he already has the counter prepared. And when Ed Parker is on, it is like he is reading your mind, and that is what we are seeing right now.
You know, and the beauty of these 8OX tournaments is that you've seen Dino really have so much success against very legit competitors not too long ago, 20, 15 minutes. And so recognizing that and being cognizant of how Ed is just minimizing the success of Dino makes it all the more impressive. Big head kick rock there. Oh! First knockdown of the fight.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, and there it is. Ed Parker taking the step back. Dino saying, come here, brother. You're not getting away with that. As he goes, did you see that? He pulled the lead uppercut, jab to the body, rear head kick. Man, Ed Parker is as flowy as it gets. And just watching this, outside of the 8OX tournament, this is exactly what Ed Parker did before he took his extended break. This is exactly what he did, right? He was a great counter striker, and he is so much there. And it's got to be horrifying for everybody on the Xbox side because that's the console he decided to torment. Back to the action, of course, man. Dino needing to figure something out, trying to take this back away from Ed Parker. But, man, it's going to be so hard.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
You know, one thing that I like to suggest is that, and you brought this up not too long ago, Dino needs to be Dino. In order to have success in this fight against someone who is as good as Ed Parker is, you need to start feeling yourself in flow, right? Trust in your skill set a little bit. While we are talking about making the adjustments, going for the clinch, going for the more pressure-heavy approach, I think that Dino hasn't felt comfortable at all in this second fight.
Here it is, and of course, when it comes down to high-level action, Ed Parker fishing for the body, gets the rear uppercut damage, and that does so much. That was a stage 2 rock. He's leaning, he's rocking, he's back in the action. Dino going for the crane kick, and that just goes to show Ed Parker is way ahead of Mr. Dino, and it's so crazy to see because Dino's such a good striker in his own right. That just goes to show just how good Ed Parker's playing right now, Zayef.
It does, but you still gotta be careful. Dino almost looking to have just a slight lead on the head health right now. Oh! But it doesn't even matter!
What in the hell? What in the hell was that?
Alright, so let me break that one down for you, alright? Ed throws a body straight feint, right? He knows Dino is going to throw the uppercut, but what he doesn't know is that Dino is going to follow up with a lead body hook, but it doesn't even matter. He slips the rear uppercut, throws a lead uppercut, catches Dino at peak vulnerability as he's going for his two-piece counter and ends the fight. Absolutely beautiful statement from our 8OX champion, Ed Parker. And if we look at the bracket here, he has gone through killers. Had to fight Warbzy, a very tough debuting fighter, right? And then he had to fight Great Miss, who just came at him, just absolutely running at him. And then he had to fight Dino MMA, one of the most creative strikers in the game, and he did it all flawlessly. What a performance, what a card. Congratulations, Ed Parker.
And you can see a lot of respect exchanged between both of these guys in the Twitch chat. True martial artists, the competitors can put the rivalry aside and recognize skill when they see it. Great to see. And again, truly flawless work from Ed Parker there in the finals.
Yep, and guys, I really appreciate everyone who came through, showed love, used the predictions. If you bet on Ed Parker, you clean sweeped it all. We really appreciate you, and a big shout out to the champion, Ed Parker, getting the job done, coming back in his first bit of action in a very long time. Hey, I'm still Ed Parker, guys. Nothing's changed. Nothing's coming around, bro. I'm still here, man. That's got to be a horrifying sight. And again, I said this during the fight. Ed Parker's here and he's back, and that is as scary as it gets. those syllables put together come off tongue is the most disgusting thing to deal with. I'm seeing the champion Blake Tyler. I'm seeing Suave Jamie shaking in their boots. Got to be, and we really appreciate everybody stopping by. Of course, man, it means the world to us. Bane, Zayef doing a great job on commentary for their first go. We just really love y'all, and we really appreciate it. And that's been the 8OX tournament. Love you.